What's up? We're back. Another episode of comic book, movie, and TV news. Um, Big thing to start off with the Snyder Cut trailer. And Nick, let's get right into it. What are your thoughts on the trailer?
Very excited, very just like we've covered the Snyder Cut like stuff before, but I'm really excited. I've found like it really is like a new movie. There's so much we didn't see. There's so much like new ideas that are getting thrown in, and so like that trailer really put that on the forefront. So much looks different, so much feels different, and it just I don't know how there's some people out there who are still like it's a remake. I'm like, not really. It's just the original version, the original footage being released. It's a whole new movie, and I think this trailer really sold that notion really well.
Yeah, and I think there were important moments, right? Because like kind of the structure of the movie is the same, if
Mhm.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Um, as far as Steppenwolf's still the main villain of the movie,
Mhm.
it's just he's not the only villain. There's broader implications to the story than there were originally.
Right.
Um, and it just seems like a more fleshed out narrative than, frankly, the first Justice League we got.
Yeah.
Uh, there's simple things like the color grading, which sucked in Justice League.
Mhm.
Um, that Zack Snyder, of course, knows how to do. He's Zack Snyder. If there's one thing you can guarantee, it's that he's gonna have gorgeous visuals. Like he's his
Yeah.
visuals
100%.
as a filmmaker are just mind blowing. Like there's whether I like a movie of his or not, I will never complain about the cinematography or visual. Like it's
He knows
just
what he's doing.
amazing.
Yep. 100%.
Um, my
And
favorite shot is that shot from where we finally see Darkseid.
yeah,
But it's the wide shot they have.
of the throne room.
Dude,
Yeah.
that looks so cool. So
I'm
cool.
I'm so excited to see Darkseid. I'm so excited to see that like just part of the DC universe come to life. It's just so exciting. I love like that just the Steppenwolf aspect of the film is getting its original kind of like fleshed out version. There's so much I feel like there's so much cool stuff like you could use to include in that. Similar is the expansion of the nightmare sequences. I think that's going to be just really, I think that's probably like one of, if not my most anticipated part of the film, is just seeing how that like occurs because there's just so much that could like, you know, I have no idea how it'll be like bouncing back and forth, but I'm just really excited to see how like it all come like all.
Yeah, I think the Joker part of the nightmare sequence,
Mhm.
big highlight. I was like, what? It's like, isn't that right?
Mhm.
Batman. And I like Leto's voice as the Joker more.
Yeah, it's still it's like or just a world weary like this is this is still the Joker, but it's also the Joker who survived like the end of the world, and it's like you see him with like the SWAT vest on, and it's like I love that we're finally getting like this Batman and this Joker like they're gonna share a scene together, and like I'd love to see like and it's also in a situation who is like allies with the Joker, and I'm like that's so cool, that's so like again, like there's so much like because the nightmare sequence in some ways like this alternate timeline takes. So you're like, how do these characters like how are they different? How are they interacting? We still have to see Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke. I'm really excited for that portion of the film, 100%.
Yeah, I think for me, there's so much stuff in this trailer that just is like it just screams cool. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah,
I've always wanted to see more Cyborg. That one shot where Cyborg has like the rocket launcher on his back, coming out of his back.
yeah. All
Um,
on.
the way Steppenwolf is just hacking people, I'm a
Mhm.
big fan. I didn't think this needed to be rated R, but I'm not gonna lie. Seeing Steppenwolf hack people in half, I'm not gonna be mad at.
It's
Um,
completely like unhinged.
yeah, I'm trying to think. Is there any other highlights you had from the trailer, like specific moments that stood out?
Yeah, if the nightmare sequence is my number one anticipated part of it, my second is seeing Henry Cavill's Superman kind of get like his final like part of his of the intended arc happen. I think I love in particular they brought back Jonathan Kent's monologue from Man of Steel. He's like, you owe it to yourself to find out what that purpose is. Like I heard that, and I was like, that's beautiful. That's so wonderful. That's what was missing from the first one. That sort of just it all comes back to Clark Kent, and I love that implication that like, yeah, we're gonna get that final piece to his story, and I'm so excited to see just Cavill back, Cavill's like original footage, Cavill with like his mouth intact, the black suit. It's just really, really exciting. We're just gonna see what was originally intended, as always.
And the other thing is they don't have to hide Superman from the marketing for any reason. Justice League made the stupid mistake originally of hiding Superman from its marketing, which probably cost them like 50 to 100 million at the box office, because Superman is your most advertisable character and you didn't advertise him in the movie. It's like everyone knows he's going to be in the movie. You're not spoiling anything.
Right.
And that was so frustrating because it's just like terrible financial decisions.
Yeah.
But they know what they're doing here. They know how to get fans going. They're revving them up. Frankly, they don't have to do much. The fans are already hyped, understandably so.
Yeah.
But I'm excited.
Mhm. The hype train is going, like, has been going since it was announced. Like, all of this is just extra, like, parts on the cake.
Moving on to our next story, though, Zawe Ashton has been cast in Captain Marvel 2 as the villain. Now, we already know that Miss Marvel is going to be in Captain Marvel 2, and we already know that Monica Rambeau is going to be in Captain Marvel 2. This is shaping up to be a pretty big movie. I don't know too much about Zawe Ashton as an actress. I think she did a lot of work in England and then kind of came over to the United States, from what I've gathered, as far as acting career. So I haven't seen a lot of her work. But I'm excited. I have no idea who she's playing. They didn't say who she was playing. Maybe a Skrull. It seems like the Skrull angle is kind of where the MCU is headed. There's that one image from Falcon and the Winter Soldier that people are speculating is a bunch of Skrull heads, like someone's hunting Skrulls. I don't know if that's true or not, but it seems like it may be a big part of the MCU. What are your thoughts on just the casting and how Captain Marvel 2 is shaping up in general?
Always interesting to see what is, not necessarily calling her an unknown, but see that like kind of like emerging performer get like such a big role, because you're like, they saw something, the casting director saw something there, and to helm the role of like the main villain, it's like, they saw something in her. They didn't have to like pull a stunt casting of like putting like, I don't know, Kurt Russell as Ego, for instance. Like, I'm not saying that was bad performance. I'm just saying like they attached a big name and they were kind of like, okay, like we'll be okay. But the idea of like casting like a relatively emerging new actress, I think it's gonna be pretty interesting to see how that all plays out. I really don't know the Captain Marvel mythos well, so I have no predictions on who she is. But um, hey, I mean, they're coming out in 2022, so this is definitely only the first of like many more stuff that's gonna inevitably come out as production gears up.
Right. And I don't know, man. The MC casting department kills it every time. Like, they know what they're doing, so I have complete faith in them until proven otherwise. You know what I mean? They haven't gotten the casting wrong in the whole MCU. But let's move on to our next category, which is the Peacemaker for January of 2022 release. Nick, what are your thoughts on it coming all the way in 2022? Are you bummed? Are you like, that makes sense? What are your thoughts?
Little of both, just because like they're still shooting and like assuming like, even though it's probably gonna be more action oriented, like not as many VFX, like that's still like a big production, especially HBO. So like it makes sense. A little bummed out because I was hoping it would just like the Suicide Squad would release, and then if like 2 months later Peacemaker would come out to like ride the hype. But you know what, it is what it is, just production schedule wise. The idea of opening up 2022 with a new DC show, that was is pretty exciting. So I mean, it is what it is. I can't say much more than that, but at least we know that like they're coming out. They have like a schedule in place.
Right. And I like that this is HBO Max getting more original content.
Right.
I'm all for HBO Max does not have enough original content.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just ride off of regular HBO.
Mm-hmm.
Other than my constant reminders that they need to rebrand to be like Warner. Warner Plus or something like that,
Mhm.
because the branding's killing them
Yeah,
right now, because people just think it's HBO and it's more than HBO, a lot more than HBO. There's a great library on HBO Max,
for sure, 100%.
but they don't have the DC original content. You know what I mean? And that's should be their bread and butter.
Hmm.
Um, so they're starting to pump that out. I'm really excited for John Cena's Peacemaker. We haven't seen the movie yet, but the way Sean Gunn describes him, I'm pretty excited, and hopefully we see the movie and we're like, this makes sense. I
Yeah,
mean,
like,
can you imagine if we saw the movie and we're like, ugh.
mhm. I mean, I think John Cena is underrated as just a comedic performer. I think he's like capable of being like really like just like real like dumb funny, and like I think they and I like James Gunn is like, if anyone can channel like dumb funny into like both like still more hilarious and like still like heartwarming and like crazy, it's James Gunn, just going off of like how he reinvented Guardian. So I think it's gonna be it's such a weird wild card project right now, but like I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I'm with you to the end of the line. Um, Moving on to our next subject, there's a WandaVision making of series which will debut on, I believe, March 12th. Um, they didn't say how many episodes this was. We don't know if this is going to be a 1 or 2 episode thing, or if it's going to be a full 8 episodes like it was for the first season of Mandalorian. Nick, are you excited about this? Because I know for me personally, like I love these making ofs.
It's yeah, it's pretty like The Mandalorian. Like I watch The Mandalorian like behind the scenes, like while I'm eating food sometimes. I'm just like, it's really cool just to see like, and specifically to that one, just cool to see like all the directors like talk about like their input or whatever. So it's cool to see that like I wouldn't mind this idea becoming a thing. Like I could see like I don't know if they want to do like a Peacemaker behind the scenes, for instance, since we just mentioned it, but like just to see it, just to show like everyone like here's how like here's where the magic here's how the magic is done or whatever. I think that's such a cool like um idea, and I think I would love to see more of that like happen like down the road in general for like other shows, just to see like you know just how all the ideas came together. It's a pretty neat thing.
Yeah, I am always a massive fan of these things because I love seeing how movies are made.
Mhm.
Now they show you like The Mandalorian was different, right? There were 8 episodes because the new technology they were using was
Yeah.
insane. Um, in WandaVision, I think it's going to be really cool, man. I think the whole behind the scenes of how they show the sitcoms in front of a live audience. Well, the first sitcom, I think that was, or the second two. I
Mhm.
don't know. It was only the first few, but how they transitioned to full blown MCU show and sitcom at the same time. I want to see
Yeah.
all that stuff. I want to see how they use the tech in the world. I want to see what CG that we're going to be surprised with CG and what's not. I want to see all of that.
Right. Right.
Um, I just think it's really cool, man, that they do this. It's for me as someone who wants to be a filmmaker. It just makes me more excited to be a filmmaker.
Mhm.
But moving on, everyone's favorite person, apparently, not a controversial person on the internet at all. The guy who directed maybe everyone's favorite Star Wars film ever, Star Wars: The Last Jedi, which I personally like.
Mhm.
Just putting that out there. Put your hate in the comment section down below. But Rian Johnson's trilogy is still happening. He said in an interview. He's developing it, though he has other projects lined up ahead of it, so it's not necessarily the first thing on his schedule. Nick, what do you make of this news?
I'm hesitant, but not because of Johnson. It's because there's already like 10 million other projects that's like on the way. I'm just like, I really hope like we're at a good spot right now where like Star Wars kind of like they eased it back. It was just Mandalorian season 2, and now we have like there seems to be like kind of a direction in place for like Ahsoka, Book of Boba Fett, etc. I'm just was like, I really hope they do not like push it. I mean, for all we know, like Taika's film and like Ryan's film will like somehow like there's a crossover like something like there's like I don't know, I'm just like there's so much stars. I just hope we don't like push it in terms of like it being excessive, but also like um I don't know. It's hard to say like anticipation because like we have no idea what Johnson could do. Um, if he chases his last Jedi energy, which is to say like really like playing against expectations, I think we'll be in for really like bold and like unexpected take, which would definitely combat that issue of like potentially being too excessive with like like so much content. So I don't know. He's doing this. He's doing his Knives Out sequel, so he'll be busy for the next few years for sure. I'm just really intrigued. Like, what could he do? What could he pull from like that he can just like you know there's so much unexplored history in Star Wars, despite how much has already been released. So I'm interested just to see what he ends up pulling from to create this new story.
Let me explain to you why this is a brilliant move.
Mm,
One, as time goes on, kids who grew up with The Last Jedi are getting older.
mm,
Kids who grew up with The Force Awakens are getting older. And you know what
mm.
those young kids did? They all loved that trilogy. Like the kids who watched the prequels, right? Our age kids who
Yeah.
defend the prequels now. So as time goes on, you're going to get more of those kids that really love those movies, as opposed to the older, teenagers like us when we watch the movies, or the
Mm,
grizzled like 40-year-olds in their basements yelling at Rian Johnson because why not?
mm,
Um, but this gives a perfect amount of time that it kind of distances him from Star Wars for a little bit before he comes back, and it gives him complete creative freedom. He doesn't
right.
have to play in anyone's sandbox with any known characters. And if you've seen any of his other movies, they're all fantastic. They're all extremely I'd say they're all great movies.
Mm.
So I think his style of filmmaking, subverting expectations, going in a different direction, would really work in a film that's not constrained by having to deal with Luke Skywalker or Rey. I think he could really thrive, really, the fandom could really reunite behind a new set of trilogy of films of his.
I think as long as he doesn't engage with like main canon, I'm not saying that as like oh he screwed up like the characters I know. So I'm just saying like if he can like just operate outside the areas of expectation, because I think that's what played against him in Last Jedi. Everyone had like their own expectations for like how Luke Skywalker should be and act. If he can set if his trilogy acts outside of like the core saga, then he basically has free reign to do whatever the hell he wants, which is what's best for this intended direction. Like new characters, new situations, new interpretations.
Yeah, I think as long as you set him new characters we've never seen before, he will thrive. Like
Yeah.
you will not regret that decision.
Mhm.
Also, tell me he wouldn't be perfect to direct an MCU movie. You can't change my mind.
He's keeping up his relationship with Disney. Arguably it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch The Last Jedi and you think, well, this is more of Marvel humor, you're right, and he'd fit in the MCU tone wise. But moving on, it's the last thing on our table. Cara Dune, Gina Carano, uh, Gina Carano was fired, and so Cara Dune, we don't know if she's going to be recast or she's going to be just gone from the series. Nick, what do you think is going to happen with the character of Cara Dune?
It's hard to say because they were so obviously setting her up for a spin-off, and I think they said as much and when they released their statement. But also like if there was any character you could just like cut off and like retcon like off screen, then it's really her. It's you she like she only just began to hit her stride as a character in the midst of season 2, and even then like you could just write her off. I mean, I think it's happened before. It's done before where like people are just like not around anymore because for whatever reason out behind the scenes. So it's I think it'd just be best just either just cut her off, just cut her off. Like you could arguably just recast as to override Gina Carano's like to maintain the Cara Dune presence without but like override Carano's connection to it. But it might just be easier to just cut it off and say like yeah she's off doing something or whatever. She's not here anymore.
Yeah, I'm in the camp where you just say her character is off in another world or like doing something in another part of the galaxy. I don't think recasting is good. I think it just brings people back to the issue at hand.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't think that helps Disney. I don't think that helps anyone, to be perfectly honest, to recast her. So I would just get her completely out of the ranks. I hope that doesn't ruin the Rangers of the New Republic show. Um, if they need help writing it, I got you. Put Janina Gavankar's character from Star Wars Battlefront 2 in. She's an awesome character. She's like a Navy SEAL of the Empire before who turns good eventually. Um, who better to be hunting out the Imperial remnants in the galaxy than her?
Right.
And and Janina Gavankar can lead a series. I can guarantee you that she has that screen presence. So I think that would be a really good option for them to pivot if they wanted to pivot in that Rangers of the New Republic show, because I'm pretty sure that was going to be a Cara Dune spinoff.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah. It's the easiest thing to it's probably just the easiest thing, like just cut your losses, just like write it off. Like there's already been like the character, it's kind of unfortunate the character will be like synonymous because like I feel like there was potential for them to like expand on it, but like she and Carano will be tied together, and so like just up from a PR stance, and just might be better just write her off, and like it just maintains continuity without having to like, oh, you know, so like someone difference here. It is what it is again, and they made their decision. Carano made hers, and for we just have to go with it.
yeah. I mean, to be honest, I didn't really like Cara Dune as a character,
Mhm.
and frankly, like it kind of came from Gina Carano's performance.
Mhm.
I don't know. I just wasn't sold on her character, anyways. It just, when you can tell that someone's acting as opposed to
Yeah.
someone just acting. I feel like I could
Yeah.
still carry Gina Carano still at the point in her career where I can tell she's acting. Um, but yeah, I think that's kind of where I stand on it. We don't want to get too much into the politics of it because that's just its own can of worms.
Again, she made her decision. Disney made theirs. We're just a couple of podcasters. We're not going to convince the company that has a monopoly on the entertainment industry otherwise. So like, um, it is what it is. As long as the show can like move forward, and like they really can. Again, they can move forward. Cardoon is not the biggest presence. Like none of the
Right.
support characters really were. You could just afford to like tax them.
Yeah. I mean, listen, spoiler for season 2 from now on in this episode, but they got rid of Baby Yoda. They can get rid of Baby Yoda. They can get rid of anyone.
Yeah, honestly, like assuming Baby Yoda isn't around for at least like 3 episodes of season 3, then like that proves right there you can. Mandalorian is like it's all about Pedro Pascal. Everyone
Yeah.
else is just kind of floating in this vicinity. You can pull in, pull out whenever you need to. So they'll be fine. The show will be okay.
Yeah. And with that, that wraps up this episode of Comic Book Movie News and TV News. Um, let us know what you thought about any of the things that are going on. I know it's crazy. Um, how excited are you for the Snyder Cut trailer? Rian Johnson has a new series of movies coming out still. Um, the Peacemaker news, Captain Marvel 2 is shaping up to have a larger cast now. Let us know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the video, and we'll see you next time.
Peace out.